So I don't see any bottles. Okay, I don't see a bottle on the table. So that would make me believe that this is a regular episode we're doing.
But this is a bonus episode.
Then where's the bottle, Colin?
I know. Do you know?
Well, I know it's somewhere in this establishment on the ground floor.
It's on the ground floor. I'm not fixing to get up.
Really?
Which means it's time to play Am I Wearing Pants?
Oh, good God.
It's a bonus episode night, and we never know if I'm wearing pants because I don't have to stand up. That must mean I have access to the bonus bottle without moving.
We did the nips.
Bonus bottles have already been opened.
Yeah. Are we going to finish that nip up? With the Ardbeg? Oh!
Out of the felt box.
You're dodgy. Okay, so let's just go through this a little bit, right? Because this has been a complete cock-up in the sense that a bottle was not on the table. You were very sly about how you did this. The fact that you may not be wearing pants and people may have to see this because we have no glasses unless we're going
Oh
old
my
school.
gosh!
Unless we're going old school, we're going to go straight out of the bottle.
We need a crew to provide us some implements. So, while we're waiting for glasses to arrive, probably on my left, Mal, what's the first thing we notice about this bottle?
Looks like some sort of cheap knockoff from a medical freaking facility.
Is that the first thing you notice?
No, the first thing I noticed is it's crystal clear. And it looks like a bell.
Anything else you notice about this bottle that could give an indication of where it's from?
Oh, now we're going to go. Okay, the stamp says it's from the UK.
So this bottle was purchased in Europe. So this is a 20-year-old Tamdhu. And this is a pretty rare bottle. This is actually part of Douglas Laing's old and rare collection. So this is one of those private releases.
Yep, okay.
Okay, that somebody come by and bought a cask. This is a single cask. Decided that this was ready to go, or they finished aging it the way they wanted to. And Douglas Laing, sort of like Gordon and MacPhail, or White and McKay, is a private labeler, released this at 20 years old, this Tamdhu. And so what we know about this is that there were only, out of the single cask that they released, there was only 232 bottles released.
Wow.
From one sherry barrel.
Okay, that explains why it's so red.
The dark color.
Yes.
Yes. Does have a little bit of that classic old look to it.
This again goes to pull the cork out with your teeth, spit it across there, and just pour on it in those like thick glasses.
So I can tell you a couple more things about this. I, along with group member Yodeler, Yodeler, he and I bought this bottle together when we were in. So Yodeler did not come to England with us.
He did do 2008. It was Scotland.
So he bought this when he and I were in Scotland together with a number of the guys on the team. And so that was in 2010. This bottle was released in December of 2009. We were there in October of 2010. So about 11 months after this was released, this bottle was still available. And so we bought it. It's not labeled as a cask strength, though it is coming in at a 55.6. Oh, there it is. Bottled at natural cask strength. Distilled in December of 89. This is an 89 Tamdhu, bottled in 2009. It is now 2021. So the likelihood of you coming across an unopened one of these, we're going to go slim.
So just to clarify this, right? 89, this was bottled by Tamdhu.
89, this was distilled by Tamdhu.
Distilled, so in a cask at the distillery.
Yes.
Then Douglas
Laing.
walked into that place, grabbed that
At some point,
grabbed that,
had a taste from that barrel and said, "Oh, I like the way this is maturing."
walked out with the barrel,
Yes.
and then what was that? What was the second date you gave me?
At some point in December of 2009, he bottled it.
And then they bottled it.
Yep. And we don't know when they bought it or what they did with it, but because it's a single sherry fill, that means is they kept it in that cask. They liked the way it was maturing. They kept it the way it was, and they bottled when they thought it was ready.
So distilled in 89.
Bottled in 2009. Purchased in 2010 in Scotland. Bottled exclusively for the UK market. And there's the little UK stamp. Came packaged up in this beautiful wooden box. The felt lining. I've taken the door off. And I have that hanging in another part of the bar, which just talks a little bit about the old and rare series. Yodeler, sorry you're not here for this one. You've had it before, though, and you'll have it again.
Unless I happen to spill it all.
Yeah. Because it will roll away. These kind of bottles will roll.
That's right, because it's not like the other bottles.
Yeah.
So, this is going to be hopefully sweet.
If it's a sherry fill, it's got this dark coloration to it.
But I've got a nagging feeling that this one will be a firecracker.
Well, 55.6 is going to talk a little bit about, it's going to, what do the Canadians say? It's going to send it.
It's going to send it, all right.
Send it, bub. Oh, we could have a failure. We do not. I don't open some of these bottles very often, which is why we've been able to, accumulate so many. Here we go. See it coming off the cork there. Nice.
That's a low sound.
Oboe-y.
Yeah, very low sound.
No, in Peter and the Wolf, who was the oboe?
Was that the hunter?
Was it? I don't know. It's a good guess.
I think it was the hunter.
Yeah.
Very good story, by the way, but that's a whole different...
Not a lot on the cork because the cork hasn't seen a lot of the liquid over time, but it's got a little faint sweetness to it.
Oh, I'd say more than faint.
Pass your glass, mate. Tamdhu's not a whiskey we drink too often around here. Not for any reason. It just doesn't come up too often and for us, whether in the series or just in the bar. I certainly know that Tamdhu has a 10-year-old release. Not sure if those bottles are around us.
I'm trying to think that someone we know likes the Tamdhu. I want to say it's Engler, but it may not be. But somebody we know likes that distillery.
I know that Engler likes the Edwardauer.
Oh, yeah. So maybe it is an Engler. But I saw there was someone we know that was like raved about the Tamdhus, but they may be just me being me.
20-year-old Tamdhu, private label, cask strength, 55.6, purchased in Europe. Mal just lost a couple of nose hairs.
Yeah, that's got some fire.
It is deep sweet though.
For those of you who don't drink Scotch and happen to be watching this because you like us or hate us and you just like laughing at us, just to give you a little bit of a hint of what goes on. When you take a whiff of something like this and you can feel your nose hairs bristling, that's when you know you're in for a ride.
This would be like if you caught your 15-year-old, sneaking some of your booze, you'd say, try this, and they'd probably never drink again, right? It's the equivalent of like, smoke, oh, you want to smoke? Smoke a whole pack, get sick and throw up.
Yeah.
Now you won't do that anymore. This is probably going to have experienced only.
So I'm gonna
and not in a snobby kind of a way, but this is probably not going to be your welcome to the world of Scotch whiskey.
So I'm gonna just because we've been adding this a little bit. So quickly get this out of the way. Why did you buy this bottle?
Because we didn't know what we were doing. We bought this bottle, and again, this was 11 years ago. This collection really started
11 years or so ago.
Yeah, because I'm 51, and this was an endeavor I began at around the age of 40.
Yep.
And so this bottle, as part of building the collection and having the experience, was an opportunity in Europe to get something that wasn't available here, that had an element of rarity attached to it, some of that unique experience, and was affordable enough when split between two guys who both have jobs.
All right.
So we didn't know what we were doing. We'll find out how well it's aged.
When you breathe it in.
It's caramely.
Yeah, that's got some bite to it.
It does. I mean, unlike Mal, I often know to take a small sip.
Yeah.
And so, first thing I did as it was in there is I just took a breath of it, through my mouth. I just breathed it in to sort of acclimate, because I knew what was coming, which was going to be something strong and potent, that if you weren't ready for it, you were going to have the reaction that Mal had.
Yeah, that's got some bite to it.
And it really is a potent glass of whiskey.
I'm like warm.
It'll warm you up. Sometimes I'll think of whiskeys like this, like dragon's breath.
This is not on that. This is definitely in that same realm.
Yeah.
But this has more. It's more of a brash, not as well put together as the Dragon Breath. As I find that was like almost like it was designed.
The Dragon's Breath was the Black Adder.
Yes.
Okay. We're not talking the jet fuel.
Not the jet fuel. No,
Yeah.
the Black Adder.
Okay.
Whereas this has got some. This is rugged.
If you were hiking in the Alps, you got lost, you were cold, you were shivering, and that darn dog showed up with its barrel right there on its collar, you would hope this was in that dog's barrel. Because it would warm you up, it would melt the snow, and you would probably survive. None of that's a knock on this whiskey. This is a old-timey medicinal warming whiskey.
Yes. The word medicinal shot into my head as I tried to stomach that gulp I took. This is definitely something that will shake you up, put you down, and be like, hey, welcome to the world of real drinking.
Somebody says, pour me a glass of whiskey and that I'll feel. You could consider this to be one of those candidates.
Very much so.
Yeah.
That's actually a rather scary drink in the sense of how much alcohol you actually taste in it.
Now on the nose, when you get past sort of the burnt hairs, it is really caramelized.
Yeah, you can definitely pick up the sherry.
Yeah, for sure.
If you weren't going to drink this and you just sniffed this, you would have a hard time discerning that this wasn't a sherry, just from the smell, because it has a very sherry smell.
Right.
If you were just
what's the
sniffing,
finish?
not sucking it in.
Yeah.
But if you were just taking that whiff, you'd be like, oh, that must be a sherry.
Yeah, it's got to be a sherry finish. And it spent its entire life in a sherry cask. I mean, it's a very dark whiskey.
Even a small sip, you know.
I do know a little bit more about this whiskey. We may find out if I'm wearing pants or not. I'm not sure if the camera can pick up on me. But I do know a little bit more about this whiskey because there was a little bit of extra memorabilia that come along with it. Proudly offer this fine example of the distiller's art as a special selection from our oldest stock of whiskey. No water is added to reduce its strength, as the Angel share has already taken care of that. No caramel coloring is added so that you can see its pure and natural color. We have chosen to bottle this malt without chill filtration in the old-fashioned and traditional style. By doing so, we leave in all the distiller's preferred qualities apparent on the nose, palate, and finish, self-evident when you remove the cork. As you can see on the label, this is one bottle of a very restricted offering, which once consumed cannot ever be repeated by us. Which was some of what we were talking about in a previous, was it this a previous episode about the rarity? Tasting notes: rich, perfumed, spiced with old furniture polish.
Yeah, that actually, yeah, okay. That explains a lot.
Burnt orange, cloves, and light wood smoke on the nose.
Cloves.
Move on to an initially dry palate from its sherry heritage, which opens over the next few seconds to a spiced and macerated rummy fruit, almost Glushman style. The finish is just so big, rich, spiced, fruited, and darkly sugared in style. So this was 232 bottles. This particular bottle is number 134. Certificate of authenticity.
I'll be burping now for a while.
Taste it throughout the evening.
Yeah, that's got.
So what did we catch? The cloves. Yes.
Yes.
Right. And I'm never a smoker, and so never, but I've smelled plenty of clove cigarettes.
Yep.
And certainly, in a spiced holiday, whatever, a punch or a drink or whatever, cloves and oranges often will go together. But what I liked is, we didn't do any prep work for this, but I really liked the idea that, we sort of considered this like an old-timey kind of punch whiskey. And it talks about that old-fashioned traditional style.
Yeah, there's no, refinement.
Right. This is just, they made a spirit, put it in a barrel, and
then someone took it and
put it in a bottle, and said, "There, I got some whiskey for you, bub."
And this goes back to that hearkening of if you want to drink, no holds bar. It's got some,
and even the sips of it,
yes,
are potent.
Yeah, you're not going to escape this drink, not in 1,000 years.
No, you couldn't be like, oh, I'll just have a sip, I'll be fine, right? I mean, there's some kind of rotten fish they serve in Iceland, like fermented, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right, and from what I understand, not having had it, that doesn't matter what size bite you have. Oh, you had it.
Yeah.
Right, doesn't matter what size sip you've taken of this whiskey. You had this whiskey.
Yeah, this one, there's no, every size or how much you sip or gulp or whatever you want to do, you could definitely have the same experience. There is no get away from it.
I mean, the only thing I think that the size of the sip is going to do is just going to magnify the oomph that you experience. But you're starting off with a pretty solid oomph, and so maybe you're just going to catch more of it.
I'm going to just do that.
I'm going to be curious what Mal experiences with the water here.
Okay. The water mellows it out. Really. Ridiculous. The difference. And I would say this. I think the water takes away from the drink itself.
Oh, you couldn't wait. You couldn't tell me that before I put some in my drink.
Sorry.
This guy, right here, this guy. Well, we'll see if I agree. I've really becoming more and more of the fan of the neat whiskey because I feel as if, we're doing the maker a service by drinking what they thought was ready. Though certainly you'll find consistent tasting notes with and without water. And so there is a piece of Scotch that is meant to include water.
And like we said before, it's your how you deal with how you want to drink your drink.
Palate is individual.
Correct. But this one definitely, it's a whole different ballgame.
Unless your name is Lemonade and somebody's making you a steak. Puck. A hockey puck, right? Could you just like cook it until the propane runs out? No lemonade. I cannot do that. It takes away the punch.
Yes. But like I said, I don't know if I would say, okay, it's more palatable or it's easier going, and which it is. However, I think it does a disservice to that by adding water.
I accidentally finished my glass now.
Yeah, well, that's what the bottle is right there in front of you for.
Just for a toast.
Yeah.
I enjoy this. This is nothing wrong with that.
I will say this. It's not like I don't enjoy it in the sense it's not my cup of tea.
And so take that, and you get to have that opinion.
Yep.
And now let's marry it to all these other qualities that aren't connected to taste.
And that's when I'll be like, I can appreciate that for what
Right.
it was, what it's supposed to be, and why it got to be where it was.
Right, where it came from, how it got here, its journey.
Which I think is, like I said, I think as we start, now we're early into season 2, and we've had conversations behind the scenes and over dinner, makes this even more interesting for me now. Because now I'm like, all right, you know what? I may not really enjoy this, or that was fantastic and spectacular, but now there's more of a sense of being. Like,
There's more than one way to
ring someone's bell.
All right. So, recently we journeyed to Tibet, and it felt unfair to not visit its neighbor, Nepal. So while we're in the Himalayas, we learned that when you're drinking in Nepal and you want to wish somebody cheers, or as the translation probably more accurately goes, good health,
Yeah.
right? They would say, now I want you to prepare for the word, Malcolm. Phenomena. The end of this word is a wizard's ability to continue casting spells.
Which if you run out at the wrong time, you will be dead.
Yeah, is no good. Yeah. The beginning of this word is either a sandwich or a military vessel that floats poorly. And the middle of this word is a New Zealand dance.
Chant. Warrior chant.
Right. Okay, yep. That has elements of a dance too, right? It's a presentation of intimidation. Often, nothing to do with what we're about to say, but often I think historically, before modern times, the tribal members were supposed to do that naked with erections as part of an intimidation.
Tip information we get there.
Yeah.
Thank God you're wearing pants.
Yeah. So, back to Nepal, where things are more peaceful and calm, and they have a deeper connection to the less perverse. We wish you good health.
Sahakamana.